Maybe it can be done remotely by Namita or somebody. I'm not sure if it can be. Anyway, my fault. So you see, this longing, deep longing can arise, but then we get distracted. We get distracted. Distracted by what? Distracted by 8 worldly feelings. And I mean, they can all be put in one category in one way, category of feeling comfort. We don't want to leave our comfort zone, as the modern expression goes, you know, very good expression, our comfort zone. So comfort zone means, yeah, we want to be praised, we want pleasure, we want gain, we want, you know, praise. We don't want the opposites of those things. When it starts getting to be the opposite, we're out of our comfort zone. So we want comfort. Liberation, it's hard work, too much work. Seems like too much work. Too much, we have to give up a lot of entertainment, a lot of comfort. We have to give up the easy life. You know, I may have bars. I may be in a prison where I can't go beyond the boundary, but at least I'm safe. At least I know where I am. I know the people. I know the routine. I know the rules. I have entertainment. I have enough to eat. You know, I get to see movies. I get, you know, special friends and lovers and husbands and wives can come and see me. So I'm okay. You know, it's not too bad. It's normal, right? It's normal. Everybody else in the jail, after all, is experiencing exactly the same. Well, some, as we said, are experiencing much, much worse. So I'm not in that section of the jail. I'm very well looked after because I have important friends, you know. And so I'm in a good place. So we get distracted, we get seduced by the pleasures, by the apparent comforts of this world. And we don't think about what happens next, you see. Jail is TK, you know. If it's just an ordinary jail, it's no problem. When you die, then you're no longer in that jail. But in the jail of samsara, according to Lord Buddha, when we die, we're still in that jail. We'll get reborn in that jail of samsara, unless we've created powerful causes to be free of it. So now we start getting interactive and I start asking you questions and checking how much those of us who have been studying for a long time, how much we have retained. So none of you just try and run away, you know, now. What are the 3 main practices called the 3 higher trainings, which we are said to have to engage in to get out of this jail? Anybody? The 3 basic, well, they're not that basic actually, but you can say they're called the 3 higher trainings. What are they? That if we practice, we can attain nirvana. Doesn't look good, folks. Doesn't look good. Maybe you had too much enjoyment at Diwali. You sticking your neck out, Pradeepji? Are you sure you want to do this in front of everybody? Yeah, are you confident? Lock laga diya jaye? हाँ जी, बताइए. What are the 3 trainings?
Ethical conduct, concentration, and wisdom.
Sir, you have scored 100%, but you don't get any money out of it. But thank you very much. That's great. So would you like to just briefly explain them and why they are in that order? You gave the correct order. Although, anyway, would you like to say anything more about them?
Well, I think ethical conduct, like the 10 non-virtues, if you perform, of speech, mind, and body, it will always keep you, your clinging to yourself will keep you ignorant, will make you anxious, will make you angry. So ethical conduct makes you stable, makes you calmer.
So what
Then
is ethical conduct? What's it got to
ethical-
do with the non-virtuous actions?
Well, with non-virtuous action will always, because you're clinging to yourself, you are
Yes,
creating a contaminated karma. Because the seeds you're sowing are
yes.
bringing you
what-
negative results.
Okay. So what is ethical action then? I mean, pretend you're talking to a complete beginner. You mentioned, non-virtuous conduct.
Ethical conduct would be that there are 10 non-virtues which you should not be doing.
Okay.
3 of the body,
Okay.
3 of the body,
Yeah.
3 of the speech, and 4 of the mind.
The other way around. The 4 of the speech.
4 of the speech and 3 of the mind.
So you're saying ethical
Killing,
conduct?
stealing.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So to be free of that, to stop doing that is ethical conduct, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Then what comes next?
Then comes concentration. You focus. You try to make your mind razor sharp.
Why?
Calm, abiding. You try to do that through your breath awareness or through focusing on one object, one virtuous object, the wholesome thoughts. So once you reach that, then you go into its more difficult part. With that laser sharp mind, you go into the wisdom part of it.
Okay.
That everything is interdependent, causes and conditions. Inherently, there is no existence from the side of the object.
So why can't we jump from ethical conduct to wisdom? Why do we need concentration?
We need concentration because we need razor sharp mind. We need a mind which can focus on things, minus all anxieties, fears, everything. Otherwise, it's difficult for us to understand how the reality is. Not the conventional reality, but the ultimate truth, the ultimate reality.
Okay, so you're saying that avoiding the 10 unwholesome actions is not enough to be able to generate wisdom.
It's the first step.
Okay. Because
it's a major step, but it's a first step.
Why is it not enough?
It's not enough because we are still ignorant. We are still ignorant of the ultimate truth, which will give us Buddhahood, which will give us.
I'm saying, why is it ethical conduct not enough as a basis for going into wisdom? Why do we need concentration in the middle? This is a very simple question, actually. It's not a trick question. Why do we need concentration?
So that we can focus, we can focus on a one particular issue and go deep into it. We need concentration for that.
So you're saying the mind otherwise will not be stable enough.
It will be like waves in the water sea. It will be unstable. It will be like, it won't. You need calm abiding to go deeper into the wisdom
so that's
part.
a very important point you're making. You're saying that even if we act in a very positive way by not killing, not stealing, and actually doing the opposite, the wholesome actions, even that is not enough to make the mind stable enough, razor sharp, as you put it, to investigate wisdom. Is that what you're saying? We still will need the concentration.
Yeah, I think so. I think you would need razor sharp mind. You need concentration. For that, you need training.
Yes.
Training of the mind.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, that's what all the texts say. That's what the teachers say. It's what the practitioners say. So I guess it's correct, which is interesting, isn't it? We might feel, oh, I'm being a very good person. I'm generous. I certainly don't even kill the tiniest insect. I should be able to leapfrog to wisdom. But the teachings say, no, you still need to really develop an aspect of the mind that is as yet undeveloped, which is, as you say, the attentional capacity. We don't have that capacity for really focused attention that we are going to need. Actually, not only for wisdom, they say that to develop the highest level of compassion also, we really do need a very, very, very focused mind. Okay, so Right. So we are in this jail of samsara, and so I was making the point. So thank you, Parikji. So you've given good insights. In this jail of samsara, we fall back onto entertainment and comforts because actually these higher trainings are not easy to engage in. We might be a very decent person in the jail and avoid all of the 10 unwholesome actions pretty much. Although, by the way, the last one is very hard to avoid because by the nature of being ignorant, we are always going to have a certain amount of ignorance in the mind. However much we avoid non-virtues, we're still going to have that grasping at phenomena as though they were solid, inherent, independent, etc. So that will keep us, however good we are, it will keep us locked in that jail. Just to get out of that jail of samsara, as you know, we need to cut the root of ignorance with insight, with wisdom. So in that situation, even though we are, very understanding, we understand this is what we need to do, it's hard work, and we are easily distracted, you see, seduced by the pleasurable phenomena of samsara, and even not the pleasurable ones, even just our habits. We may have habits which are no longer that pleasurable, but we still do them because they are habits. It could be smoking or drinking lots of tea or whatever, and we no longer find them that pleasurable, but we still do it because, well, we've always been doing it. It's a habit. That's what habits are, right? And they can become, for many of us, more than just a habit. They can be addictions, can't they? So we can't let go of them, although they may be very, very painful. We may be addicted to certain kinds of, verbal behavior, physical behavior, which we know is harming ourselves and others, isn't it? But we can't stop. Why? Because it's so deeply impregnated in us. It's deeply imprinted. It's like a habit, deep habit, addiction. So these 3 higher trainings, they are really higher trainings. They're not for ordinary people. Most ordinary people neglect them. Can't even get to grips with the ethical conduct, right? Even that is much too difficult. And to engage in the concentration, we haven't looked at this for a while, but I think in the past we have looked at some of the causes that we need to have in place to develop strong concentration. I mean, can any of you hazard a guess as to what might be some of the preconditions, some of the inner and outer circumstances we would need to develop this level of attention, concentration? You can focus some of the outer conditions we would need and some of the inner mental conditions we would need. What do you think? To develop really, to have the intention and the ability to engage in these practices for developing calm mind, shamatha as we call it. What would be those conditions, do you think? Anybody? These are taught, of course, very extensively in the Lamrim stages of the path teachings. So what do you think? Some are very commonsensical, obviously. They're all commonsensical. What do you think? What would be an outer condition that we need to develop deep concentration?
Solitude.
Yes, that could be very important. Or at the very least, some kind of quiet environment. So, for example, even if we were living in a busy city, we might, like Shantideva, be very sleeping and eating and going to the toilet during the day, but at night we might be doing our, practice, meditation practice, because it's quiet. Nobody comes to the door. no Amazon, no this, no that, no kabadiwala, and everyone, your in-laws and everybody are asleep. So nobody is disturbing you during the day, during the night, right? So that's wonderful. That is the kind of solitude. Of course, traditionally people would go to a hermitage or to a retreat center, somewhere away from the hubbub and the noise of town or villages. In the Buddha's time, monks were supposed to live at a certain distance away from a village even. I can't remember how far, but they're stipulated in some of the texts, I think, how far the vihara, the monastery should be from a village or town. So yes, what else would we need? What other outer condition would we need if we wanted to engage in a stable meditation practice?
Economic well-being.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Yes, Neera?
Economic well-being, social
Yes.
well-being.
Yeah, in the sense that we would need to have enough food. So someone would have to deliver food. So we would have to have some arrangement at least with somebody, a friend or a storekeeper, to keep on providing food, especially if we're doing a longer retreat. And it's said to be serious about this practice, we would need 6 months to 9 months or more to really to begin to master the practice. But what other important outer conditions would we need, you could say, before? So we need the place, we need a quiet place, we need time, we need food and someone to help us, because we can't, in a strict retreat, you can't go to the market yourself. You have to stay in your retreat place. Someone brings you food, and ideally someone may be cooking your food for you and just giving it to you, and you don't see anybody else. You may not even see that person. They may just put it in a certain place where you collect it, push it through the trapdoor, whatever. But you would certainly not go out and see people. So maybe 1 or 2 people you might see who are helping you. What else would you need in terms of something that is coming from the outside, what do you think? So you have all the situation, the food, all of that is set up. And of course, a quiet place, that's taken for granted. It shouldn't be a very noisy place. It should be a quiet place for this kind of retreat. What else would you need? Okay, so you need the teachings, which teach you about, in this case, shamatha, how to develop it, what are the factors that help you, what are the hindrances, how to get rid of the hindrances in meditation when they arise. In other words, you need these instructions, ideally from someone who has done this kind of practice before. Of course, you can also read them in the text. They are very clearly there. They're not secret teachings. They're there in the Lamrim stages of the path literature in all of the 4 traditions of Tibetan Buddhism. And there's extensive documentation of this in the Theravada tradition as well, of course. So, because this is a practice which is shared by all levels of Buddhism. So that has to be understood. And if we can receive teachings on it, it's best from a qualified teacher. And then one can ask that teacher those questions. See, because we can't talk or get in touch with people once we're in that practice situation. We're not allowed to be in touch with people. So we need to get all of our doubts clarified on the practice while we are learning about it from another person, from a teacher. So all that is needed in terms of now these are very important, but the most important would be inner conditions, right? So what do you think would be the inner qualifications? Hold on. Huh? Excuse me? Who's talking, first of all? I don't know who's talking. Kaun hai? Could you show your face if you're talking? No, nobody's talking. Maybe someone was talking to someone else. So what are the inner conditions that we need? What are the mental attitude and inner mental qualifications for developing concentration, do you think? Anybody?
Faith in the teachings.
Sorry?
Faith in the teachings.
Oh, yes, definitely. One has to trust the teachings that they are going to be beneficial. Yeah, one can't be two-minded. Oh, well, maybe these teachings aren't going to help me. Maybe they are, you know. Yeah, it can't be a fluctuating mind. One has to have trust. And one might say,
enthusiastic vigor.
One person at a time. Maybe put your hand up and then I'll ask that person. Or Pradeepji, did you have something?
No, I just said enthusiastic vigor. You need to be extremely enthusiastic and keen to.
Yes, that would be there.
After faith, you need that effort, that enthusiasm.
Yeah, you definitely need enthusiasm. Anybody else?
Discipline.
Of course, that we always need. Yeah, if you're not disciplined, you won't do the practice. One day you'll do it, the other day you'll try and, you've smuggled in your smartphone, you start listening to music and watching news and so forth. Yeah, Sagar.
Strong sense of renunciation.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. Very helpful. Because you won't, while you're in retreat, then you won't keep on thinking, oh, I'm missing the IPL. Oh, I'm missing the World Cup. Oh, I'm missing, the Jaipur Literature Festival. Oh, I'm missing this wedding, that wedding. Oh, I'm missing Diwali. You can't have thoughts like that. Well, you can have thoughts, but they should come and go. You should say, well, that's tough, Diwali comes and goes, but this is an opportunity I may not get again in my life, and it's helping me to be free, liberated from something that I've not been liberated from since beginningless time. So yeah, if you have renunciation, that should be a very powerful. You have stable renunciation. So the other qualifications are connected with this. What do you think are some of the attributes of a stable renunciation? One is, of course, revulsion and seeing that samsaric enjoyments are just like bubbles, they come and go and there's not much to be excited about. But what are the other aspects of a renounced mind, do you think, that would be really helpful?
Equanimity.
Excuse me? Equanimity.
Equanimity.
Yeah, of course. That if by that you not only mean it in the Mahayana sense that you don't feel some people are very close to you and some people are completely, enemies or distant. You feel a friendliness and compassion towards everybody, which of course should be the motivation for someone doing that retreat. In the Mahayana tradition, you do the retreat not just because you're sick and tired of samsara, but because you have compassion for others. But also equanimity in the sense that whatever arises in the mind, you don't go up and down with the emotions. If anger comes, okay, you don't get involved. If lust comes, if envy comes, if sadness, whatever, one is able to just be equanimous and not be disturbed by those feelings or thoughts. They come and you can quickly just let go. Like that, yes. So equanimity in those both senses of having that sense of equal compassion towards those who friend, enemy, stranger, that kind of equanimity, as well as equanimous towards the different kinds of feelings and sensations arising. What else do we need? You may be taking it for granted, but what's a sign of, what do they say is a sign actually of a real Dharma practitioner, apart from being wise and calm and things like that kind. What do we actually respect a lot in swamis or renounced people? There's one quality they have that is respected in all the religions, actually. Anyone? Sagar?
Kabirji, I was going to say the first noble truth, and we need to constantly think about death and impermanence.
Of course,
To
that
have
would
the
be,
yeah.
these would be factors that are propelling us into retreat. Yeah. Somebody needs to mute themselves. There's a lot of background talk somewhere. If you could mute yourself, the person who is having a lot of background there. Thank you. Yes, that of course is there. That is there. Piyushji, you've raised your hand.
Kabirji, according to me, I think mental strength.
Of course, yes, that comes with the enthusiastic effort that was mentioned, but definitely without mental strength, we can't do anything really, virtuous especially. Yes, mental strength. What else? Okay, the factor I was getting at that is respected, especially in India, perhaps, is this sense of having few desires. You are contented with what you have. You don't need a lot of things. You see, because if you go into retreat with a lot of desires or feeling you need a lot of things, then actually one will go crazy in this kind of retreat, because these things are not available. One cannot. This is a perfect example of mixing worldly dharma and the real dharma. We can't go into a retreat where we want to develop this level of concentration and attention and want entertainment and want this and want that and want our favorite food at least once a week or once a month, or else we get upset. We can't have that. So we have to have few desires and easily contented, even to the extent that we might think it abnormal. When one is reminded of stories we hear from our teachers on how the genuine practitioners lived in Tibet. Extremely limited, menus, very simple food, often going for weeks or months simply on some hot water, some maybe black tea, and this barley flour, jaw ka sattu, sampa, that the Tibetans eat. Maybe occasional potato or something, but very simple food, very little sleep. Is so dedicated towards Dharma, so renounced, so having few desires, and certainly no desire for, no question for the monks in the monasteries. I'm talking about the real practitioners. No desire to have entertainment or go to a party or, have a, of course, girlfriend, boyfriend out of the question. So these things, very few desires, contented, the peace of having a contented mind. Don't need all the things that people seem to need, It's it must be an amazing state of mind. And I'm sure some of us experience it sometimes. Other people want us to go here, there, everywhere. And we just say, "Nahin, theek hai, main theek hu, main ghar pe baith ke theek hu. I don't need a lot of entertaining right now, So, so for that, one needs few desires, very few desires. One doesn't need. We had, in the early days when Alan Wallace, whom some of you heard of, he's written all these very good books. He came to our center in England in probably 1982 or something like that. And he was still a monk, and he had been doing this, especially this kind of retreat, this retreat to develop the calm, abiding mind. And so he was talking about it. He was doing this retreat in the hills above Dharamsala, Himachal. And he said, look, if really I felt the need I needed, if really I felt I must do something different, I really need something different. So he said, kind of jokingly, kind of my entertainment would be to go for a very quiet, slow walk nearby in the woods. That's it. That's it. Not going to visit anyone, not taking a book with you, not whistling or singing a tune, just a quiet walk in the woods. That's it. That's your relief from the meditation sessions, where it's of course of sitting. So in fact, very wise thing to do is to take some walks now and again. Otherwise the body can become very stiff and the kidneys can suffer from too much sitting, not enough exercise, and kidney energy can become imbalanced and so forth. And of course, body can become stiff. Body needs some exercise. So that was his entertainment, going for a short, peaceful walk in the woods. And he wouldn't have gone beyond a certain, area. He's not going for entertainment. He's not going in order to look at the beautiful views or to check out where there might be a new construction going on down in the valley. No, that's not the purpose. Purpose is simply to take a mindful, peaceful walk to stretch the body, to make it, more able to do the meditation properly. So that's it. For these retreats, one does not take in any unnecessary literature, even Dharma literature. One takes in only books that are relevant for the practice or practices one may need to do as part of one's commitment to a Lama. In certain tantric empowerments, you may have to do some practices daily, recitations and so forth. So that you can do, but no other literature, nothing. And nowadays it would be harder, because how many people really know how to live without a smartphone? I mean, in the monasteries, every monk has a smartphone now. Maybe there are some monasteries still in Thailand in the forests where the monks don't have a smartphone, but maybe they still have one, but they just don't take it to their huts when they're doing certain retreats. But I bet they all have smartphones somewhere tucked away, and that can become a distraction, right? So the really renounced people nowadays, if they're strict, they would give up all of that. They would have to give up all of that. No smartphone on retreat. You can't just start checking something on Google in this kind of retreat. Not if you're strict, or even any kind of strict retreat, not just the concentrations, shamatha retreat. So, having the proper situation, having few desires, having a contented mind, knowing the teachings on this practice, knowing what to do when obstacles arise, how to deal with them, because they're all there in the teachings. There are very complete, very detailed teachings on this shamatha practice in the teachings. There has to be. Because remember, this is something that is a very key practice to develop wisdom. Without the wisdom, there's no cutting of the root of samsara. Can't get out of the prison without the wisdom. And can't get the wisdom without the stable mind. So this is all incredibly important. Incredibly important. So the 8 worldly feelings are a prime obstacle for developing this concentration. We can't develop concentration. Could we? Distractions, wishes, desires, expectations, hopes, fears, blah, blah, blah. I need to unmute. I need to unmute. Are you all unmuted? Yeah, you can all unmute. I'm unmuted. I'm talking. Can you hear me? I hope so. Yeah. So there we are. What else might we need? I think we covered most of the important points. Outer, proper instructions from a teacher, having few desires, having enthusiasm, having, inner contentment, which of course will come. If we have few desires, then the mind will naturally be content. Another way we can put it is like this, not having what we call poverty mentality. Inner poverty. Oh, I need this, I need that, I need friends, I need blah, blah, blah. No, you're self-sufficient. You have your practice, you have your instructions, you have your faith, which is a big thing. And a faith, not blind faith, faith which has been built up through conviction, through studying, listening, reflecting, and meditating. So we have conviction in the teachings. We know they work. It's not like we're It's not what we call in English a shot in the dark. We know what we're doing. We have faith in it. We have discipline. So you can see this kind of retreat isn't something we jump into easily or in the beginning of our Dharma career. We're not ready for it, most of us. We have to gradually build up to having that kind of stability and qualities to do it. And if we can do it, it's wonderful. Even Dalai Lama Ji has told the monks in the monasteries to do a lot of study, but not enough concentration practice. So they're very good at many arguments and memorize things and so forth, but they don't have sufficient focus in order to really meditate on wisdom. So, and they don't have much time for that actually, as doing so much study. So he has told people that really you must try and find more time for this kind of practice. And once one Lama in Bodh Gaya said that, look, at our level, just to begin to plant the seeds of this practice, we should use any occasion we can. Even when you're sitting in the bathroom, he said, you should focus on the doorknob, focus on something in the bathroom while you're on the toilet. Get the mind used to not needing distraction all the time. Because, I mean, I have to admit to taking my smartphone into the bathroom. I mean, why do I need the smartphone in the bathroom? If you're a Westerner, you need toilet paper, and if you're Indian, you need water and soap. So why do you need a smartphone? You don't need it. One can make excuses, of course, but okay. So he said, focus on the doorknob. Focus. Make your mind attentive. Start doing it in the toilet, wherever we are. Get into the habit of not needing a million things to be distracting us. Multitasking all the time. I hope this makes some sense. So if we can do this, and if we have the good fortune to have had the proper teachings, the proper place, and having the internal qualifications, which are not easy, right? Because we have a lot of worldly responsibilities, and that won't work. You can't go into this kind of retreat if you feel responsible to your mother and your mother is sick or something and may die at any moment. You can't then go into that retreat. Unless you have a sibling who's willing to look after your mother and it's all agreed and you've made your farewells to your mom or whatever. So obviously that's not the best time to, to choose for such a retreat. So you can't have all those responsibilities on, in the back of your mind when you're going into such a retreat. So you can see it's not easy to have all the conditions necessary for a successful shamatha retreat. Nowadays, shamatha retreats, people do 7 days, 10 days. Oh yeah, good. It's good to do that, to get a taste. But to get the realization, it said you need 6 to 9 months, at least. And that's when you have all the conditions that we've mentioned in place. Even then, it will take at least 6 to 9 months if you are fortunate. If you've built up, and also you need, of course, with all these things, you need the merit, the punya, karmic potential, the positive energy built up to be able to be successful. Not all of us have this. So we need to purify, accumulate positive energy in all the ways that we've already mentioned. Doing the 7 limb practices, purifying, accumulating positive energy through rejoicing, through all manner of positive actions, through creating images of the Buddha, paintings or clay models, or commissioning things, making offerings to Sangha, to Dharma centers, to all these things can create positive energy. Serving the Guru is one of the most powerful ways of creating a lot of positive energy. You have a teacher and you serve that teacher through helping that person with their organization, their centers, or serving them personally as their attendant or whatever. That is one of the most powerful ways to generate punya, positive energy. So then that helps to create the cause to be able to do these kind of things, these kind of practices. Benefiting sentient beings in general, especially helping people, I guess, whom we think we cannot help. Yeah, there's that wonderful advice that Padampa Sangye, very, very famous Indian master, gave to Machig Labdron, who is one of the greatest female practitioners of Tibet. He gave her this advice, and if we can engage in this kind of advice, we will quickly create the conditions to be able to do such retreats. So he told her this: confess your hidden faults, approach what you find repulsive, which means doesn't mean approach samsara out of love for it, doesn't mean that, but it means you'll get the meaning when you hear all the lines. Confess your hidden faults, approach what you find repulsive, help those you think you cannot help. Anything you are attached to, let it go. Go to the places that scare you. We want to do the opposite, right? We don't want to confess our hidden faults. What is repulsive, we stay away from. If there's a garbage heap, we do this and we, walk as far away from it as possible. If we think we can't help someone, we don't help them. Too difficult, or I don't like them, or whatever. Anything we're attached to, let it go. Goodness me, we don't want to let go. We want to hold on tighter, right? For me, I'm going back to Delhi soon. Winter is coming. So, hello, Gajar Halwa. Yes, here I come, let it go. No way. No way. Very hard to let go. Go to the places that scare you. That's the powerful one. And this was important advice for Machig Labdron, because she was became an expert in a practice which involved going to graveyards, going to the Shamshan Ghats, where bodies were being burnt or where bodies were just left to decompose, and to do your practice there. That's what her guru told her, to go and meditate in those places. So then you get a very powerful sense not only of impermanence and death, repulsiveness of the body, but also charnel grounds are places where many kind of spirits come. So if you meditate there at night, it is said especially, there are many kinds of beings that can try and disturb you. So her guru told her to go and meditate there, go to places that scare you. So for us, it might mean we might agree to help some organization that helps people who are dying in a cancer ward or something. So we may need to go then to a hospital where we don't want to see people who are dying. We don't want to see people with disfigured bodies, due to sickness or cancer. But we do it, and we generate love and compassion for those people who are sick, dying. So we go to the places that scare us. We help those who we think we cannot help. It's very easy to help people who help you or who we like to help, isn't it? I mean, that's easy. That's no big deal, is it? But to help those that we think we cannot help, that's something, isn't it? You may have some organization that works in some Jhuggi Jhompadi or very congested area of Delhi or wherever. You don't want to go there. It's you have to take several, metro rides. You have to change here or there. Then you have to go in these gullies which are dirtier than you would like. They're not like your posh home in South Delhi. And then you may be in a cramped room with people who don't have access to the kind of bathrooms we have, so they smell more than the people you usually work with. But you go there because there's something can be done to benefit them. And they appreciate you being there. So, we go to the places that scare us, help people we cannot think we cannot help. And then we let go of our attachments, maybe attached to, whatever. So many things are attached to, especially our comfort. So to give up our comfort zone for half a day may be a good beginning. So then we create the conditions where we can do a retreat. And then we won't need to be in 5-star comfort all the time. Or we may be in 5-star comfort, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But then if the electricity goes off or we have some temporary problem, it doesn't disturb us. Because we have the equanimity also that Pradeepji mentioned. And so forth, and the discipline that somebody else mentioned. And the mental strength that Piyushji mentioned. We have those things. But 8 worldly feelings, which basically are the the chamchas of the all live in the comfort zone. They're all the comfort zone chamchas, comfort zone gang. They are always trying to sabotage. They, of course, I say they are internal delusions, they are internal habits, are always trying to sabotage our efforts. Even if our effort is obviously the best thing we could do with our life, but these habit patterns, these samskars from beginningless lifetimes, they are very powerful. So we cannot underestimate their power. But the Dharma has very, very amazing methods to deal with all of these, shaitans. Yeah. Very powerful methods, very skillful methods to deal with the disturbing emotions and the comfort seekers. And as Swantideva says, thank goodness, nothing cannot be made easier through practice. Everything becomes easier through practice. If we do the practice, it will gradually become easier. If we don't do it, nothing will happen. In our hands, we are our own master there. Yeah. Well, the transcription is working very well because I'm using ordinary language. It's very amazing technology. Absolutely correct at the moment. Isn't it amazing what technology can bring? But the inner contemplative technology is apparently the most amazing because it can confer not only just a good, kind, clear mind, but what they call omniscient mind, sarvagyani, all-knowing. The mind of a Buddha is said to be all-knowing. Everything that needs to be known, is important to be known, is known spontaneously by the Buddha's mind. Doesn't have to think, no, spontaneously that mind is all-knowing. It's kind of all-pervasive, it seems. Dharmakaya, so-called. Not harmonica, Dharmakaya. Dharma Kaya. Dharma guy. Anyway, not bad. Sounds almost the same. So yeah, that kind of mind, it's worth striving for, no? And it's worth getting very strict with these 8 worldly feelings, which pretend, of course, to be our best friends. Oh, come on, Kabir, it won't harm you if you don't do some meditation and go to the market, get your favorite halwa, no problem. The Buddha would understand. He's very compassionate. So, we can be seduced by all these kind of thoughts and feelings. Before we know it, the evening has gone. Another opportunity to practice has gone. And then, the World Cup football is coming. And one friend is pleading with me, not pleading, but would be very happy if I go to Goa and watch some of the games with him on his television, because we used to do that in the past. And my father lived in Goa. So, of course, I'll probably try and go. I'll see. Lots of friends, and I like to swim, which according to one Lama, if you like swimming and you do it without compassion and awareness, what you're doing is only creating the karma to become a fish. And we shouldn't think that is a nonsense statement. It makes some sense. If we like swimming, well, that creates, if there are future lives, it creates the cause to be in a place where we can swim all day. A fish. So we have to be careful. Karma is very profound, very powerful and profound. We shouldn't think all of these stories, especially that are there in the Dharma tradition, are just nonsense, or just supposed to be there to scare us. We should think twice before we poo-poo these things. So anyway, yeah, so confess your hidden faults. What was the second line? Already forgotten it. Approach what you find repulsive. Help those you think you cannot help. Anything you are attached to, let it go. Go to the places that scare you. And this is, of course, The Places That Scare You is the title of one of Pema Chodron's excellent books. And she has that quotation in that book. The Places That Scare You. Amazing, amazing advice. Patampa Sangye was a great Mahasiddha, great practitioner, and can read his life story as well. So he gave this advice to Machi Glavron, who became an incredibly realized practitioner of one particular practice called Chö, or the cutting practice, where the practice of cutting the ego in a very powerful way, very powerful practices, which involve often being in very scary places where there would be spirits, which are then invited to come, and one develops compassion and offers many things to the spirits, mentally and also physically. So she was expert in that practice of the Chö, or the cutting the ego practice, which became very important in Tibet. I think she was 12th, 13th century, something like that. So anyway, Padampa Sangye was her Indian guru, who gave her that amazing advice. I mean, everything is contained in those lines, actually, the whole Dharma in one way. Anything you're attached to, let it go. Well, there's a lot of the Dharma is right there. Help those you think you cannot help. That's not just about being compassionate, it's about having universal compassion, right? For mosquitoes, for scorpions, for snakes, for everything we find repulsive, have to help all beings. Wow, it makes you tired just to think of these things, right? I think I need to go out and have a drink. I'm joking. All I have nowadays is tea. Rather too much of it. Any more comments, questions on what we have looked at today? It's very quiet outside. I guess people are exhausted with all of the running around and the music and the, yeah, it's amazingly quiet. Nothing? Chirag ji? Isar? Jatin? Vishak? Namita? Apurva? Anushri? Bilim? Apurva? Oh, Apurva. Yeah, your hands up.
Hello. I just had a question about very long-term retreats. Like retreats that go on for maybe tens of years. I mean, I've learned a little bit about, yogic practitioners who are in very, very long-term retreats. And I always wondered how, unless they, of course, know when they are coming back or, when they are coming back to teach, how does it help other sentient beings, them being in extremely long-term retreats?
How does it help sentient beings if you're in an extremely long retreat?
Yeah, like that isolation. I mean, unless it is bound to end at a certain point and you sort of make that wish to come back and teach, that I understand, you're sort of coming back for a purpose. But if it's an indefinitely long retreat, how does that sort of help others?
Do you believe in continuity of consciousness beyond death?
I think I do, yes.
So then that's your answer. This is one very short life. If by doing a long retreat, you can develop extraordinary states of mind, then you can be of even more value to everybody in the future. Some people, of course, are very highly realized, and for some reason, karmic reason, their own gurus say, please come out of retreat and teach, and then they do. But if their own guru doesn't tell them to come out of retreat, and if they, through their own wisdom, feel it is not that important or necessary karmically right now, then they maybe don't. But the point is, if they do a long retreat successfully, then they can generate such an extraordinary state of mind that they will be of incredible value to sentient beings, but not necessarily in this life. I mean, within their lifetime. But next life, future lives, they can be of extraordinary benefit for others. It may not be that they have much connection, literally karmic connection with beings in this life, but in a future life, they have much more connection, meaning the ability to be of great benefit to others. This again requires understanding and faith in karma. It's not enough, for example, to be a great teacher, the best teacher in the world. There may be students in front of you who cannot benefit from your teaching karmically because they haven't created the cause to benefit from your teaching. There is some karmic obstacle from the past, which is why someone who is not such a good teacher can benefit some people a lot more because of a good karmic connection. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's not always the best doctor who is the best doctor for you. I mean, best doctor meaning the most qualified and regarded as the best. They're not necessarily the doctor who can cure you. There may be an unknown doctor who can cure you because of the good karmic connection. So there's also that aspect. Someone through their wisdom or their Lama telling them, you don't have the connection right now, better you just do long retreat. That's the best long term for sentient beings in general, not just for you, but for sentient beings in general. Better you stay in retreat, then you can help beings in future lives. Someone asked the Dalai Lama this, and they expected him to say, yeah, better you come out to help others. He said, if you can, he said, if you can, if you're qualified, in other words, best to spend your whole life in retreats. That's what he gave as an answer to one question in public, which means he wasn't just telling it to one person. So, because right now we're so caught up in the appearance of this life, right? And because of modern science and many other factors, fewer and fewer people have real faith in future lives, continuity of consciousness. So for us, it's just something, I haven't seen it, so who knows, we don't have faith in it. So let alone have seen any of our future, which some people can, apparently. The Buddha saw countless of his future lives. So do many yogis. They know that there is continuity of mind. It's not, they don't believe it, they know it. So if we were to have that understanding, it would make more sense. But yeah, I can understand how it feels strange that people are suffering and there's that person doing a long retreat. They're so realized they could help others. Well, maybe it wouldn't be that beneficial. It's hard to say. Very hard to say. Piyoshi.
Kabir, till now, we have been discussing about retreat, few desires, and different things. I was quite interested in knowing how how a person who is living a household life, who cannot
Yeah, can't do all this. Yeah.
who cannot subsume his desires in the manner a monk or someone who is a bachelor can subsume a desire. How can a household person who is living
Yeah.
household, what does Buddha says about like how household person can
He
practice a
says a
Buddhism?
lot. He says a lot. And maybe one session we can devote to this, especially when I'm back in Delhi, because there's a particular selection of Buddha's teachings in our library at Tushita, where just exactly what you're mentioning is there. A compilation of Buddha's teachings on given especially for householders. Because obviously, if his teachings are only for monks and nuns, it's most of humankind is excluded. So of course, he gave teachings for everyone. The basic teaching, of course, is to avoid the 10 unwholesome actions. Everybody can do that, because even in the 10 unwholesome actions, the one that relates to, say, sexuality, it's saying avoid sexual misconduct. It's not saying you have to be celibate or a monk or nun, but we have to not misuse sexuality. So that is also for householders. All of those 10 rules are for anybody, are for all householders as well. So we can begin to work with those and start with 5, with the panchshil: not to kill, not to steal, not to engage in sexual misconduct, not to lie, and not to take intoxicants in a way that harms us. So those 5 we can begin to work with, or 1 or 2 of them in the beginning. As one teacher said, in one way, it's very good to have a wife and children, because for sure there are going to be difficulties. For sure, people are going to upset one another. So in fact, that is then the best practice to start developing patience. Because if we're on our own, we can easily become selfish and easily think that we have a very calm, good mind. But the moment we are with others, we have a problem. Yeah. So if you are constantly living with another person, in one way, it's fantastic, because it means you have to always think about at least one other person in your life, right? How your actions are affecting that one person. And if you have children, even better, you have to then care for some children as well, right? So then you could say, from being a selfish person, only thinking about yourself, automatically you have to think about at least 2 other people, at least one other person. And work with all the emotions that will come up while working with those family members. Sometimes they annoy you, sometimes they upset you, sometimes they really make you feel sad, they make you want to cry, or you get angry. So you have to work with all this. So it's not theoretical anymore, it's real practice. And of course, there are teachings for all of these occasions. How to deal with all of these situations are there. And Buddha gives a lot of instructions on this in his teachings, which we can look at later. So yeah, very good question. I mean, but in general terms, we can say that whatever we're doing can maintain moment by moment awareness, as is recommended for everybody. What is happening in my mind right now? What am I thinking? How am I speaking? How am I speaking to the person or persons in front of me? Am I avoiding being sarcastic, harsh, idle gossip, harmful speech, lying, deceptive speech, all these things? Am I avoiding them, or am I subtly engaging in them? And what is the state of my mind? Do I have a state of discontent? Do I have a state of covetousness, wanting something that the other has? Do I have a mind of ill will? Am I feeling ill will or harmful intention towards the person? Or am I kind of dull and kind of sleepy? What kind of mind am I having right now? And then with my hands and feet, what am I doing? Am I doing something that is useful for others, or is it just a waste of energy or harmful? When I'm communicating with others, am I properly communicating, or am I obviously distracted by something else? Is half my mind on my smartphone, or whatever? Am I actually paying attention to the people in front of me? All of this can be done, has to be done by a layperson. if you're working in the office, especially if you have some responsibility, or if you're a lawyer like you are, you have to communicate with people, don't you? With your client, with other lawyers, with the judge. You have to communicate very powerfully, strongly, hopefully as honestly as possible. Although I'm afraid, yeah, some lawyers don't have a great reputation. But anyway, you can be as honest a lawyer as you can be. And not take on rich people whom you know are just trying to make a fool of everyone. You say, no, sorry, I'm not taking your case, even though it might be giving you 10 times as much as an ordinary case. So, one can begin with things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of advice. But one can develop, of course, a lot of kindness and patience as a householder. One has to, actually, otherwise you'll go gaga, you'll go nuts. Read about people getting divorced, strangling each other, killing each other, committing suicide because they can't cope with the emotions that come up with living with other people. So one needs a great deal of patience. This is a great testing ground. If we can live harmoniously with family and other workers, then that's very wonderful. So one needn't be in retreat. In retreat, people may be just wasting their time, fantasizing or in some kind of dream world. On the outside, looking like they're in retreat because they're not eating much and being in a simple, quiet place. But who knows where their mind is? So yeah, we'll look at that again, Piyush, and I'll keep your eyes peeled on the postings. We'll try and find a time when you can attend that. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Effects of the tea are wearing off. Anything else? Vishad Bhai, how are you? How's your family?
All well, Kabirji, all well.
Yeah, people are adjusting to
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, yes, Kabir.
Good. Okay, we'll stop there. So thank you all very much for your patience and your time, and I hope there was some benefit in our ramblings. And remember that at the very least, we, by participating, we helped everybody else. Without you participating, session doesn't happen. So due to everybody, we all got some benefit. So we can be grateful to everybody. And to the people, of course, who invented this technology and all the rest of it. Tushita, the founders of Tushita, excuse me, the people who run Tushita, excuse me. So we can develop thankfulness, gratitude. We can develop rejoicing, because that's a very powerful positive emotion, creates a lot of positive energy. You can rejoice in these other people and in your own efforts, your own participation, something to rejoice. We did something beneficial together. We didn't get together to do something non-virtuous or deceptive or totally neutral, or we didn't just get together to play cards or drink beer. So this is something very to be rejoiced in. Which means rejoice at that, think how wonderful it is. Be happy. Don't leave the session feeling unhappy. And then dedicate that we all find never be separated from authentic teachings and teachers. And all our teachers, especially His Holiness Dalai Lama, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, all the other great teachers have long and healthy lives, and their wishes are fulfilled. Constantly remember them and feel gratitude for their presence and their teachings. Shantideva says in the last lines of his Bodhicharya Avatara, and I bow down to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue. And so also dedicate that one's life, whatever one is doing, however one is living, may it be very meaningful for others, very beneficial and meaningful for others. And of course, to maintain the courageous bodhisattva attitude, to never give up, never lose faith and hope in the Buddha nature, which we all have. And dedicate for those who recently passed away, Bimla Tomar, all the other beings who are sick, including our landlady of Tushita, Rama Bandari. Please pray for her. She's not very well at the moment. Due to her kindness, Tushita is where it is in Delhi. And for anyone else you know who is sick or ill, dying, has just died, dedicate for their happiness. Good, thank you very much. Tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow's session will be a little later because I have teaching here with the American students here in Bodh Gaya. So I hope to finish by 6:30 or so with them. So our session tomorrow will be 7 p.m. So I'm sorry if there's any inconvenience, but what to do. So tomorrow's session will be 7 o'clock. We'll post it tomorrow morning. It'll be the same topic, 7 p.m. Thank you very much.